Every morning offers a new beginning, a blank canvas on which the story of your day will be written. The way you start those first waking moments determines the rhythm of everything that follows. Success doesn't just happen in the hours of work, meetings, and decisions. It begins long before that, in the quiet of your morning. This is the sacred window when your mind is at its most impressionable, when you have the rare opportunity to choose what kind of energy and focus will shape your day. The first hour after you wake up acts as a blueprint for how your brain operates, reacts, and performs throughout the rest of the day. When you open your eyes, your brain transitions from a deep, restorative state into one of awareness and readiness. It is still flexible, still teachable, still forming the thoughts that will eventually create your emotions and your actions. If you start your day in chaos, you prime your brain for distraction and stress. But if you begin with clarity and intention, you train your mind to move through the day with discipline and peace. The morning is not just a time of day. It's a mental gateway, a point of leverage where small actions can create enormous change. Too many people underestimate the power of these early moments. They rush out of bed, check their phones, scroll through messages, and instantly plug into the world's noise. They don't realize that in doing so, they've already surrendered control. They've given the steering wheel of their focus to someone else's priorities. The brain, in this vulnerable morning state, absorbs what it encounters first. If that's anxiety, information overload, or negativity, the tone of the day is set before breakfast. Success requires reclaiming that space, making your mornings your own again. Imagine starting each morning not with reactivity, but with awareness. Before you even get out of bed, take a moment to breathe deeply and set an intention. Ask yourself, who do I want to be today? That question alone rewires your thinking. Instead of running on autopilot, you become deliberate. You begin the day not as a responder, but as a creator. The small choice to be conscious instead of careless might seem insignificant, but it's what separates people who drift through life from those who design it. Your morning is also a mirror of your values. What you choose to do first says a lot about what matters most to you. If your first act is to focus on gratitude, movement, or reflection, you're telling your brain that growth and purpose come before distraction. If your first act is to rush, worry, or scroll, you're programming your brain for noise and reaction. This is not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Every action you take early in the day either builds or breaks your focus for everything that follows. Science supports what experience already shows. Habits formed in the first 60 minutes after waking strongly influence cognitive performance and emotional stability. Your cortisol levels are at their highest during this time, which means your brain is most alert and most sensitive to conditioning. This is why starting your day with even a small win, making your bed, stretching, journaling, or drinking water, triggers a sense of control and accomplishment. These acts aren't trivial. They are symbolic victories that tell your subconscious, I'm in charge. When you master your mornings, you begin to master consistency. Consistency is the real secret behind success. It's not about massive effort once in a while, but the quiet discipline of doing the right things daily, especially when no one's watching. The morning gives you a private stage to practice that discipline. No audience, no competition, just you, your habits, and your commitment to showing up. Each day you honor that process. You strengthen the mental circuits that support success. The most successful people in every field have one thing in common. They protect their mornings like sacred time. They don't leave it to chance. They understand that when you own the first hour, the next 23 will follow your lead. This isn't about productivity hacks or rigid schedules. It's about alignment, aligning your thoughts, energy, and actions with the person you aspire to be. Success is rarely the result of a single decision, but rather the accumulation of small, consistent ones that compound over time. When you wake up and act with intention, you teach your brain to prioritize purpose over impulse. That shift changes everything. You begin to operate from a place of calm strength rather than scattered reaction. You feel more in control, more grounded, and more capable of handling challenges that arise during the day. Each morning becomes an act of self-leadership, a chance to set the tone before the world does it for you. Every sunrise is an invitation, not just to wake up, but to rise. Each morning, you are given the chance to choose discipline over distraction, peace over pressure, clarity over chaos. The secret of success doesn't lie in doing more, it lies in doing what matters most first. And the most important thing you can do is to begin your day with intention, because the way you start determines everything that follows. The moment your alarm goes off, the first decision you make sets the tone for everything that follows. Most people instinctively reach for their phone, a habit so automatic that they rarely stop to question it. In that split second, before even taking a breath, they hand over their focus to a screen filled with other people's thoughts, demands, and problems. This is how distraction begins, quietly, subtly, before the day has even started. When your brain is still soft and unguarded in those first moments, it absorbs whatever it's exposed to. If that exposure is a flood of notifications, news, and noise, then chaos becomes your starting point. What many people fail to realize is that your phone is not just a device. It's a portal that pulls you into the world's agenda. It tells you what to think about, what to care about, and what to feel anxious about. When you open it before grounding yourself, you give away the most precious thing you own each day, your attention. Your attention is the currency of your success, and the first few minutes after waking are the prime investment window. Lose it there, and you spend the rest of the day trying to buy it back. By choosing not to touch your phone, you're making a powerful statement to yourself that your mind deserves to wake up in peace, not pressure. You're reclaiming those sacred moments of silence before the day begins to rush in. It's not about rejecting technology, it's about using it intentionally. There's a difference between using your phone to create and using it to consume. The latter drains your energy before you've even left bed. The former can be purposeful, but only after you've taken control of your mindset. When you begin your day disconnected from your phone, something remarkable happens. You reconnect with yourself. You start noticing the sound of your own breathing, the feeling of the morning air, the rhythm of your thoughts. These moments of quiet reflection may seem unproductive, but they are essential. They allow your mind to calibrate, to find its balance before it's hit with the demands of the world. This simple pause gives you space to remember your priorities, your values, and your intentions for the day. The modern world thrives on distraction. Every notification is designed to steal a second of your focus, and enough stolen seconds add up to a lost life. When you delay picking up your phone, you're not just avoiding distraction, you're practicing self-respect. You're sending a signal to your subconscious that your inner world comes before the outer one. You're teaching your brain that peace is the priority, not stimulation. This small act of defiance against digital dependency rewires your mind for clarity and strength. Your phone is a powerful tool, but it's also a mirror of your impulses. Every time you reach for it without thinking, you reinforce the habit of reacting. Every time you resist that impulse, you reinforce the habit of intention. The difference between the two is massive. Reacting means the world leads you. Intention means you lead yourself. That one choice, whether to touch your phone or touch your mind first, determines the kind of leader you become in your own life. In those first quiet minutes of the morning, your brain moves from delta to alpha waves, a transition from deep sleep to heightened awareness. It's during this window that your subconscious is most open to suggestion. What you feed it in that moment shapes your mood, your focus, and even your resilience for the day. If your first input is stress, comparison, and noise, your mind will mirror it. But if your first input is reflection, gratitude, or calm, you create the emotional stability that success depends on. People often underestimate how fragile focus is. It's not something you find, it's something you build moment by moment. The choice to avoid your phone is a training ground for discipline. It strengthens your ability to delay gratification, to resist the pull of instant information, and to direct your energy toward what truly matters. Each morning you make that choice, your willpower grows. And over time, this single habit compounds into greater control, better decisions, and deeper peace of mind. When you resist the urge to check your messages, you open the door to something much more valuable: mental clarity. You give yourself time to think about your goals, to visualize your day, to create before you consume. It's in this silence that creativity awakens and ideas take shape. Great thinkers, leaders, and innovators throughout history have all shared this practice in some form, the art of beginning the day by connecting inward before engaging outward. Every time you choose to focus on your breath instead of your screen, to look out the window instead of at your notifications. You are reminding your brain who's in charge. You're creating a boundary that says, my peace matters more than my phone. And that simple rule becomes a cornerstone for everything else. Focus, clarity, creativity, and confidence. Because success begins not when the world gets your attention, but when you decide your attention belongs to you. There is something powerful about beginning the day with action, about reminding your body and your mind that you are built to move. Before you dive into emails, before you sit at your desk, before you fill your head with plans and expectations, movement brings you back to something primal. The rhythm of life itself. Your body and brain are deeply connected, and the moment you get your heart rate up, you awaken parts of yourself that sleep through the noise of routine. It's not just exercise, it's a declaration that you are alive and ready to engage with the world. Most people underestimate the link between movement and mindset. When you move your body, your brain releases chemicals that improve focus, boost mood, and ignite motivation. It's biology working in your favor. A few minutes of stretching, walking, or breathing deeply can create a ripple effect that lasts all day. That surge of oxygen through your system clears the mental fog and sharpens your perspective. You start to think faster, react calmer, and feel more grounded. Success isn't just about what you think, it's about how your body supports that thinking. When you begin your day with movement, you send a clear message to your subconscious that you are proactive, not passive. You are choosing to set the pace instead of letting the world dictate it. The smallest physical actions can transform your emotional state. A short jog, a set of push-ups, even a walk around the block, these acts remind you that energy isn't something you wait for, it's something you generate. The moment you start to move, you begin to shift from hesitation to momentum. The beauty of morning movement lies in its simplicity. You don't need expensive equipment or hours at the gym. What matters most is consistency. By making it a daily ritual, you build a foundation of discipline that extends far beyond physical health. Each morning you show up for your body, you also strengthen your mind. It's a quiet contract between who you are and who you aspire to be. Movement becomes proof that you can follow through, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. There's also a deeper psychological shift that happens when you move first thing in the morning. You stop identifying as tired, unmotivated, or lazy because your actions begin to contradict those labels. Your identity starts to evolve from the inside out. You become the kind of person who takes initiative, who doesn't wait for inspiration to appear before taking action. That identity change is what rewires your brain for lasting success. It's not about forcing yourself to move. It's about realizing you are someone who already does. As your body starts to wake up, your mind follows. The increased blood flow brings oxygen and nutrients to your brain, improving memory, concentration, and creativity. Problems that seemed heavy the night before often feel lighter after movement. It's as if the act of moving forward physically helps you move forward mentally. You start to see solutions instead of obstacles, possibilities instead of limitations. That's the real purpose of morning movement. Not just fitness, but clarity. The early hours are also when your discipline is most vulnerable. It's easy to say you'll work out later, but later rarely comes. By moving your body first, you eliminate the negotiation that drains your energy throughout the day. You stop wasting mental bandwidth deciding whether or not you'll exercise because the decision is already made. You start each day with a win, and that win cascades into confidence. One disciplined choice leads to another, and suddenly, the rest of your day feels easier to navigate. Movement in the morning doesn't have to be intense, it has to be intentional. Whether it's yoga, stretching, a short run, or even dancing in your living room, the goal is to connect your mind to your body. That connection creates presence, a rare quality in a world that constantly pulls us away from ourselves. In those few minutes of focus, your thoughts slow down, your breath deepens, and your awareness expands. You begin the day in alignment with yourself instead of in opposition to your own energy. Beyond the physical and mental benefits, morning movement builds emotional resilience. Life will always bring stress, but how you start your day determines how you carry that stress. When your body is strong and your mind is steady, you respond instead of react. You adapt faster, recover quicker, and stay centered longer. Movement teaches your nervous system to handle discomfort without panic. It becomes a training ground for both strength and calmness, 2 essential ingredients for success. Every time you move your body in the morning, you're not just exercising, you're setting the emotional frequency for the entire day. You're teaching your brain to associate effort with energy, discomfort with growth, and consistency with confidence. That shift in perception transforms ordinary mornings into powerful beginnings. It reminds you that you don't need to wait for motivation to strike. Movement itself is the spark that creates it. There is something deeply transformative about the idea of feeding your mind before feeding your body. The first thoughts and ideas you allow into your consciousness each morning shape your emotional and mental landscape for the rest of the day. When you wake up, your brain is open, receptive, and ready to absorb whatever you give it. It's in this fragile, fertile state that you decide what kind of mindset you'll carry forward. Most people rush to coffee or breakfast before they even consider what they are mentally consuming. But the truth is, your mind hungers before your stomach does. What you read, listen to, or think about in those first waking minutes has a direct impact on your emotions. A negative article, a stressful message, or even a meaningless scroll through social media can create a cloud that lingers over your mind all day. The human brain is a sponge, and the morning is when it soaks up the most. That's why starting your day with intentional input is not just beneficial, it's essential. Whether it's reading a page of a book, journaling, meditating, or simply reflecting in silence, those first mental meals determine how strong and focused your mind becomes. Feeding your mind doesn't mean flooding it with information. It means choosing what will nourish rather than deplete it. In a world addicted to stimulation, real growth comes from stillness, from taking a few moments to focus on thoughts that elevate rather than overwhelm. Reading something inspiring, listening to a podcast that challenges your perspective, or writing down 3 things you're grateful for helps create a mindset of abundance and possibility. Those small actions feed the deeper parts of your consciousness, shaping not just how you think, but how you interpret the day ahead. The morning is when you set the emotional tone that will guide your reactions to everything that follows. If you start your day with intention, the noise of the world loses its grip on you. If you begin with chaos, you carry that chaos into every decision, conversation, and interaction. Feeding your mind early means you are programming your thoughts before the world does. It's an act of self-leadership, deciding that you will be influenced by your own vision instead of external distractions. Just like your body needs balanced nutrition to perform well, your mind requires a balanced diet of thoughts to function at its best. Consuming ideas that motivate, educate, or inspire you strengthens your mental resilience. It builds the cognitive muscle that allows you to stay grounded when challenges arise. Over time, this becomes a habit, a rhythm that reinforces itself. Your mind begins to crave learning and reflection rather than distraction and noise. That is how successful people stay centered even in chaos. Their inner world is well fed and well trained. When you take time to feed your mind, you also train it to recognize what truly matters. You develop clarity about your priorities and confidence in your decisions. You begin to notice patterns, what lifts you and what drains you. This awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence, the ability to guide your thoughts rather than be ruled by them. The practice of starting your day with mental nourishment is like giving your brain a compass before you set out into the unpredictable landscape of the day. There's also a subtle power in gratitude and reflection as forms of mental nourishment. Taking a few minutes each morning to acknowledge what you're thankful for reframes your perspective. It reminds you that you already have more than enough to succeed. And that mindset of abundance naturally leads to confidence and generosity. The more you feed your mind with gratitude, the less room there is for fear and self-doubt. Gratitude strengthens your ability to see opportunities where others see obstacles. When you prioritize mental nourishment, your energy shifts. You begin to feel more composed, less reactive. The world's pace may stay the same, but you start to move differently through it, calmer, sharper, more deliberate. Feeding your mind early in the day becomes an anchor, grounding you in self-awareness while the rest of the world rushes by. It doesn't require hours. Sometimes 10 mindful minutes are enough to change the entire trajectory of your morning. The effects of mental nutrition compound over time. Each morning you choose to invest in your mind, you're not just preparing for that day. You're shaping the person you're becoming. The books you read, the thoughts you dwell on, and the reflections you write all become part of your mental DNA. Your thinking evolves, your confidence grows, and your sense of direction strengthens. What starts as a small habit becomes a powerful identity shift. When you consistently feed your mind before your body, you start to notice that success feels less like a chase and more like a natural outcome. Your thoughts become clearer, your actions more purposeful, and your energy more sustainable. The mind you've nourished becomes your greatest ally, guiding you toward better choices and deeper fulfillment. It's not about doing more, it's about thinking better, and that begins with what you choose to feed your mind every morning. Before the day begins to unfold, before the noise of the world pulls your attention in 100 different directions, there is a sacred moment where you have the power to design how you want the day to feel. This is the space for visualization, a practice not of fantasy, but of intentional preparation. When you take a few quiet minutes to see your day before it happens, you give your brain a blueprint to follow. You are not leaving your mindset to chance. You are choosing the emotional, mental, and physical energy you will bring into every situation. Visualization is more than a motivational exercise. It's a neurological process that primes your mind for success. The brain does not fully distinguish between imagination and reality when you vividly picture yourself succeeding, staying calm, or handling challenges with confidence. Your neurons fire in the same patterns they would during the real experience. This mental rehearsal creates familiarity. When you face those moments later in the day, your brain recognizes the pattern and responds as though it has already succeeded. What once felt uncertain now feels natural. In the early hours of the morning, your mind is quiet, open, and suggestible. That is the perfect time to program it with the feelings and outcomes you want to create. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine your ideal day unfolding. See yourself walking into meetings with confidence, speaking with clarity, handling problems with composure, and finishing your day with satisfaction. Don't just see it, feel it. The emotional intensity of your visualization is what gives it power. The stronger the feeling, the deeper the imprint it leaves on your subconscious. This practice trains your brain to anticipate success rather than fear failure. Most people wake up and instantly start worrying about deadlines, responsibilities, or things that might go wrong. That worry is visualization in disguise. It's just being used against you. When you imagine problems vividly, your brain rehearses anxiety. When you imagine success vividly, it rehearses courage. The process is the same, only the direction changes. The choice is whether you let your fears or your vision become the mental script you follow. Visualization also sharpens focus. When you mentally walk through your day, you start to identify what really matters. You begin to notice where your energy should go and where it's being wasted. This clarity prevents you from getting lost in distractions. Athletes do this before a competition. They picture the race, the movement, the victory. High performers in every field do the same. By seeing the goal in detail, they condition their minds to look for opportunities that align with that image. The brain begins to filter out noise and zero in on what supports that outcome. There's something powerful about visualizing not just the external results you want, but also the kind of person you want to be. Picture yourself acting with patience when someone frustrates you. See yourself listening deeply instead of reacting impulsively. Imagine yourself staying grounded when challenges appear. Over time, this mental practice builds a version of you that's stronger, wiser, and more in control. You begin to show up as that person naturally because your brain has rehearsed it so many times it becomes part of who you are. Visualization in the morning doesn't take long, but its effects ripple through every hour that follows. It helps you enter the day with intention instead of reaction. You no longer feel like you're surviving the day. You start to feel like you're directing it. This doesn't mean everything will go according to plan. It rarely does. But it means you'll face it all with a clear mind and a prepared spirit. You'll recognize challenges as part of the vision rather than as interruptions to it. When practiced consistently, visualization becomes a kind of mental armor. It prepares you for uncertainty by giving your mind a sense of control. Even when things go wrong, you recover faster because your brain has rehearsed calmness and resilience. You begin to trust yourself more. You develop an inner stability that's not shaken by circumstance because you've already seen yourself overcome it in your mind. That quiet confidence is the hallmark of mental strength, not arrogance, but assurance rooted in preparation. It's easy to dismiss visualization as wishful thinking, but that's a misunderstanding of its purpose. Visualization is not about pretending it's about practicing. It's the mental equivalent of an athlete running drills before a game. You are conditioning your brain to execute with precision under pressure. Every great performer, artist, or leader uses it, whether they realize it or not. They see the outcome first, they feel it deeply, and then they go out and live into it. The world often calls that luck, but it's actually preparation meeting opportunity. When you start your mornings by visualizing the kind of day you want, you stop being a passenger and start being a pilot. You are no longer reacting to life, you are leading it from within. The world around you may stay unpredictable, but your inner world becomes clear, calm, and certain. Each morning you close your eyes and see your day before it happens. You teach your brain how to turn possibility into reality. Each morning brings with it a blank page, and the first thing you write on that page sets the tone for everything that follows. Starting with one clear, achievable win is more powerful than it sounds. It creates momentum. Momentum is not built from massive leaps, but from consistent, intentional steps taken with purpose. When you begin your day with a win, no matter how small, you send a direct message to your brain: progress is happening, success is possible, and control is in your hands. That single act becomes the spark that ignites the rest of the day. Many people begin their mornings overwhelmed by the long list of things they need to do. They see the entire mountain and forget that every mountain is climbed one step at a time. This feeling of being buried under too many goals paralyzes progress before it starts. By focusing on one meaningful task, a single, deliberate victory, you transform your state of mind from scattered to centered. Your brain thrives on completion. It releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter that reinforces satisfaction and motivation. That small win becomes a signal that today has already begun in your favor. The idea of starting with one win is rooted in psychology. The human brain craves closure, and unfinished tasks drain energy and focus. When you check off one purposeful action in the morning, you free up mental space. It doesn't need to be something extraordinary. It could be finishing a writing session, cleaning your workspace, sending an important message, or simply preparing a healthy breakfast. The size of the task doesn't matter. What matters is that it represents intentional progress. That first completed action builds a sense of direction and competence that carries forward into every other decision. When you achieve one win early, you begin to build trust with yourself. That self-trust is the cornerstone of confidence. It's not born from motivation or external praise, but from consistency. Each time you follow through on your word, your brain learns to believe you. It starts to expect results instead of excuses. That shift from doubt to trust changes everything. Suddenly, your goals feel less like distant dreams and more like extensions of what you already do. One win becomes two become three, and soon success feels less like a struggle and more like a rhythm. There's a powerful emotional shift that happens when you start your day with achievement. You no longer begin from a place of lack or pressure, you start from strength. Even when challenges appear, you're already operating from a position of progress. The first win gives you proof that movement is possible, that effort creates outcomes. It fuels your belief that you are capable of influencing your day rather than being at its mercy. This sense of agency transforms how you respond to everything that follows. Success compounds in the same way interest does, slowly at first, then suddenly. One small win sets off a chain reaction that can shape your entire day. You might start with organizing your schedule, which gives you clarity to make better choices. That clarity helps you handle conversations more effectively, which opens doors to new opportunities. Each step builds on the last. This compounding effect doesn't require intensity, it requires intention. The discipline of starting small becomes the architecture for doing big things. Choosing one win also forces focus. In a world that celebrates multitasking, focus has become a rare and valuable skill. By narrowing your attention to one meaningful outcome, you teach your brain to prioritize depth over speed, quality over quantity. You stop scattering your energy across 10 directions and begin to direct it like a laser beam toward one result. That kind of focus doesn't just improve productivity, It strengthens mental clarity and emotional calm. It's easier to feel grounded when you know exactly what you're doing and why it matters. Morning wins also have a symbolic power. They remind you that you are in motion, that you are capable of progress regardless of circumstances. Even when life feels uncertain, you can always create one victory to anchor your confidence. That's why successful people often talk about routines and rituals. It's not about the task itself, but the message it sends. Each act of completion reinforces identity. You are someone who moves forward, someone who finishes, someone who acts. That identity, repeated daily, becomes the core of lasting success. As days become weeks and weeks become months, those early wins begin to reshape your mindset. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. The question shifts from, do I feel like it, to, what's my first win today? This simple mindset shift eliminates hesitation. You no longer need to summon energy or inspiration. You begin with proof. That proof builds momentum, and momentum becomes motivation in motion. You stop searching for the right time and instead create it one decision at a time. The practice of beginning each day with one win creates stability in a world that constantly demands more. It anchors you in progress even when chaos surrounds you. It teaches your brain that success doesn't come from intensity, but from consistency, that greatness isn't a product of rare effort, but of repeated intention. Every morning becomes an opportunity to begin with purpose, to move from thought into action, to choose progress over perfection through one deliberate win.